Access to tertiary education is a challenge for so many South Africans, with the cost, increasing 4.2% in the year 2022. Now, this, coupled with the rising inflation rate and the lingering financial impact of the pandemic, almost a quarter of students are still unable to repay their student loans, leading to them dropping out. In their latest article, HyperionDev outlines how the private sector can come to the fore and aid in making education even more affordable and accessible to more students through the provision of alternative options such as EdTech. For more on this, we're now joined via Zoom by Riaz Moola, and he's the founder and CEO of HyperionDev. Riaz, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, the lack of tech-based skills and jobs in this country has been a topic for quite a while now. Speak to us about why this is still an issue.
Well, when you look at it, in South Africa, we have a huge shortage of tech skills. And software developers in South Africa actually earn the highest in the world relative to living expenses. And so it's a very lucrative career if you can get into it. But the main means by which people get into a tech career is to study a computer science degree. Now, unfortunately, that degree has the highest dropout rate out of all degrees you can study in South Africa. And so the path to becoming a software developer is very tough. What we do at HyperionDev is we deliver online coding boot camps. These are 6-month part-time online programs that help somebody become a software developer in about 6 to 12 months. So an alternative to a university computer science degree that works.
Let's now talk about how EdTech can be the answer to this problem.
Sure. So we have been working in online education for 10 years, so our programs are fully online. And when you think about an online course, somebody can take it without having to go to a campus. They can take it even if they're working full-time or part-time. It's flexible. It's something that's more accessible. And this is a challenge for many people, being able to go to a physical campus, being able to be and dedicate so many hours to traditional studies. And so EdTech and online education can really open doors. Another exciting thing is we work with universities to help them deliver coding boot camps now. So I'm very excited to announce we're working with the University of Stellenbosch. You can earn a University of Stellenbosch coding boot camp through HyperionDev very soon. And so even opening doors to universities through online education and EdTech companies like ourselves working with universities to help them launch online courses is really the future.
And having said that, do unpack for us, if you can, the correlation between the attainment of higher levels of education and the likelihood of employment. I mean, what does it look like at the moment?
It's very interesting. When you look at people who study degrees, who do PhDs, they do generally, have a higher level of employment, but not every career works with that. Suddenly if you're a doctor, you're going to go through very rigorous studies, practical and academic. But not everybody needs to have a computer science degree to become a software developer or a web developer. The demand from companies is so high for these skills that they are hiring people who don't have degrees, but have things like a HyperionDev coding bootcamp education. Because when they interview for these skills, they just test your practical skills. Can you code? Can you build a website? And so it's not the case that in every single field, you're going to get good employment just because you have many degrees or diplomas, and software development is one of those fields.
So how does the lack of skills needed for tech-based jobs then create barriers for employment in this country?
It's simply the case that how are you going to fill these jobs if nobody is teaching people to master these skills? Computer science degree and a university is not primarily focused on training people to become web developers or back-end software developers. They're training people to become computer scientists, which is a different career path. And so the mismatch between education and demand for skills is particularly bad in the tech space, which is why alternate programs like our coding boot camps have come to the forefront.
Yes. And as one of the leading providers of tech education in the country, what are you currently doing to combat this issue? I mean, how are you feeling the gap?
As I mentioned, our work with universities has really helped open doors to even more students. So not only are we working with the University of Stellenbosch, but also UNISA. UNISA, the University of South Africa, is the largest higher education institution in not just South Africa, but I believe Africa. And so we have been working with them to offer to their over 1 million students and alumni a UNISA coding bootcamp powered by HyperionDev. And so reaching as many students as we can quickly to give them access to these alternative programs is really what drives us and makes us get out of bed every morning.
Let's now talk about how equipping more people with digital skills and the increase in access to affordable education may be perhaps one of the solutions for this scourge.
Definitely. If you are equipping people in these skills and they're getting jobs, that's key. When students study with us, they're not just looking for a course, they're looking for a job outcome.
Yeah.
And on average, we see that our graduates earn back what they pay us for a coding bootcamp within about 6 months, because they're taking a bootcamp and they're changing their career and they're working in a new job at a new tech company where they're earning more lucratively. So getting an education where you are increasing your salary as a result of that very quickly, that's what students want these days.
Now, Riaz, give us your closing thoughts on how the private sector can actually develop solutions to South Africa's unemployment crisis, particularly within the tech industry.
It's about innovation. It's about ways to launch new types of programs, ways to work with universities that many students will turn to help universities deliver new types of programs. And it's about using technology to scale that. If you can use software to scale online education, you can reach and help more students. And that's kind of what's needed. When there's a drastic problem, you need drastic solutions.
And how then do we solve the problem of, the inaccessibility of internet, perhaps in some of the far-flung areas in terms of developing the tech industry?
That's a great question. Internet has become more accessible over the last 10 years. The cost of data, the accessibility to internet lines has gotten better as a result of innovation in the telecommunications industry. However, we as an online education provider, we support students who don't have great access to internet. We let them sync their kind of learning materials so they don't need to be online all the time. We have methods of making the amount that they need to download be less. And we have ways to support them to get to physical facilities to support their online learning. Online learning doesn't need to be about just being 100% online. It can be blended with campus studies, hybrid studies. And so that's a key type of thing we offer in our bootcamps too.
All right, Riaz, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.